Okay, so are you ready to talk Miss Universe? Because let me tell you, this year's competition, it had everybody talking. It was wild. This year it was in Mexico City. And we saw Miss Denmark, Sarah Søndergaard. She became the first Danish contestant to win the crown. It was huge.
It really was a historic win.
Yeah, but alongside all that celebration, there was a lot of controversy too. A lot.
It seems like every year there's some controversy.
But this year especially, fans were really, really fired up. So we're going to do a deep dive today.
Yeah.
Into all the drama surrounding the 73rd Miss Universe, the backlash from fans, what made Miss Denmark's win so special. We're covering it all.
It's fascinating how much this competition resonates with people. The Miss Universe fan base is incredibly invested. I mean, for them, this is more than just a beauty pageant. It's like a cultural event with this long history of strong, inspiring women.
I mean, it's been going on for so long, like you said, 73 years.
Exactly. So when fans feel like the event doesn't live up to expectations, they're going to let their voices be heard.
Yeah, and let me tell you, this year they were loud. I mean, they were not holding back. Fans were calling this year's Miss Universe a total flop.
Wow.
Yeah, and you know, one of the biggest complaints, from what I've seen, was the results.
The results themselves.
Yeah, specifically the elimination of Miss Philippines. Chelsea Manalo, she was a huge fan favorite.
I see.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people thought that she was going to at least make it to the semifinals.
Well, the elimination of a popular contestant always stirs up debate. And this year was no different. You know, it really highlights the subjectivity of judging a competition like this.
Yeah, like how do you even begin to compare contestants from 90 different countries?
Right. I mean, each of those contestants has such unique backgrounds, talents, goals.
Yeah, it's not exactly an apples-to-apples comparison, is it?
Not at all.
And it wasn't just Miss Philippines elimination. That had fans upset. There was a lot of criticism about the overall top five. Yes, some fans were let down by the evening gown and the Q&A rounds. One article even said that Miss Venezuela's gown, it looked ill-fitting, and they thought that that actually impacted her score.
It's easy to forget just how much pressure these women are under. I mean, performing on a global stage with millions of people watching, that can be incredibly daunting.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And even the smallest stumble, it gets magnified under that kind of scrutiny.
No kidding. And believe it or not, the criticism didn't stop there. Fans also went after the production quality of the entire show. They said that it lacked the glamour and the spectacle that they expected from Miss Universe.
Interesting.
Yeah, cheap and dated. Those are words that I saw a lot
Really?
in the articles. Yeah, there were specific complaints about the stage design. I read someone said it looked like it was pulled from a high school auditorium.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and fans were not happy with the hosts either. They said that they lacked the energy and the charisma of hosts from previous years.
That's interesting. I wonder if that reflects a changing entertainment landscape. I mean, audiences are just used to high-quality productions now with really dynamic visuals and pacing. Maybe pageants need to step up their game to keep up with those expectations.
You're probably right. These days, viewers are so used to being wowed. And get this, even Mexico City got some criticism.
The host city.
Yeah. Kind of ironic, isn't it? I mean, Mexico City is known for being so vibrant and full of energy. But fans reported all these logistical issues.
Like what?
Long lines at the events, transportation delays.
Really?
Yeah, and they weren't thrilled with the venues either. And there were even some reports of issues with rehearsals and accommodations for the contestants and their delegation.
Wow, that's a lot to handle. Coordinating an event of that scale. With people from all over the world, it has to be a massive undertaking.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And speaking of challenges, we have to talk about sponsorships. So fans felt completely overwhelmed by all the product placements. Yeah, and they argued that all that emphasis on commercialization overshadowed the competition itself.
I mean, you can't blame them.
Right. Some even said it felt like one giant advertisement rather than a celebration of female empowerment.
Yeah, it's tricky. You have to acknowledge the business reality of an event like Miss Universe. It requires a lot of funding. And sponsorships play a huge role in that.
Right.
The challenge is finding that balance between those commercial interests and maintaining the integrity of the competition.
It's a tough line to walk. And ultimately, it seems like a lot of fans feel like Miss Universe is losing touch with its core values.
In what way?
Well, they see the shift away from traditional elements like the swimsuit competition and then the increased focus on corporate partnerships. They see that as a move in the wrong direction.
I see.
Yeah, they feel like the pageant is trying to be everything to everyone, and in the process losing its unique identity.
That's a really interesting point. I think this actually reflects a larger cultural shift that's happening right now. I mean, ideas about beauty and what it means to be a role model. Those ideas are constantly evolving.
For sure.
And organizations like Miss Universe, they're trying to navigate all of those changes. It's got to be a difficult balance to strike.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about. It's a complicated situation.
Yeah.
But one thing is for sure, Miss Denmark's win was a huge moment for the pageant.
Absolutely. Let's talk about Sarah Søndergaard. You know, her victory was like this breath of fresh air for so many fans, especially with all the negativity. And remember, this is a historic win. First time ever that Denmark has taken home the crown.
Yeah. It seemed like her win really resonated with people, especially against the backdrop of all that drama surrounding the competition. It gave fans a positive storyline to focus on.
Exactly. So what was it about her that made her stand out? Well, from what I read, it sounds like her passerella skills were a major factor.
Girl.
Passerella.
Boom.
It's the runway walk, a crucial part of any pageant.
Oh, right. And apparently, hers was just pure magic, especially during the evening gown segment. I mean, they were describing her in this regal silver gown, symbolizing light and hope.
Wow. It sounds like her performance. It went beyond just modeling. You know, it conveyed confidence, elegance, a real connection with the audience, and that ability to command attention. That's a hallmark of a Miss Universe winner.
Yeah, totally. And it wasn't just about the looks either. Sarah's advocacy work was also really important. She's very passionate about sustainability and environmental responsibility. And she used her platform to speak out against climate change and call for action. So do you think that focus on social advocacy played a role in her win, especially considering all the criticism about over-commercialization?
That's a great question. And you know what? I think you might be onto something. It's becoming more and more important for these contestants to be more than just beautiful faces. They need to have a strong voice and use their platform to make a difference.
Yeah, for sure.
I think Ms. Denmark embodies that shift. You know, her win could indicate that audiences are looking for substance beyond traditional beauty standards.
Substance over just looks.
Exactly. And maybe even as a response to that perceived over-commercialization of the event.
That makes a lot of sense. Fans want to see that these women stand for something, that they have a purpose. And speaking of substance, Sarah's performance in the final Q&A, it really impressed the judges.
Oh, yeah. What did they ask her?
They asked her how she would inspire young people.
Interesting.
And her answer, it was so eloquent and inspiring. She talked about empathy, education, and empowerment as tools for positive change.
Wow. That's great. You know, her answer really shows the power of communication skills.
Yeah.
Which are so important, especially for leadership roles, which is something that a Miss Universe winner is expected to embody.
Absolutely.
It sounds like her ability to articulate her vision in a way that felt authentic really resonated with the judges and the viewers.
Yeah, it did. So we've talked about Miss Denmark's historic win. But what about the other finalists? Miss Venezuela and Miss India were the runners-up.
Right.
Did they have strong platforms as well?
Absolutely. Miss Venezuela was very passionate about access to quality education, particularly for girls in underserved communities.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and Miss India, she focused on mental health awareness and breaking down stigmas, both of them.
Yeah.
Showcased such incredible talent and intelligence, grace throughout the entire competition.
It sounds like they were amazing.
Yeah, and we can't forget about Miss Kenya and Miss Canada. They rounded out the top 5.
What were their platforms?
Well, Miss Kenya, she was a big advocate for wildlife conservation.
Cool.
Yeah, and Miss Canada, her platform was centered on promoting women in STEM.
I love that.
Yeah, they all had such compelling platforms and strong performances.
It really sounds like this year's competition had a real focus on social impact. And speaking of impact, we need to talk about Chelsea Manalo, Miss Philippines.
Yeah, what about her?
So she didn't make it to the top 5. But guess what? She won the Social Impact Award.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for her incredible work raising awareness for children with disabilities.
That's amazing. Such a powerful reminder that there are so many ways to make a difference and that impact can extend beyond the main competition.
Right.
It's great that the Miss Universe platform can be used to amplify so many important causes.
And it's amazing that even though she was eliminated early on, she was still recognized for her incredible work. And this brings us back to the idea of evolving standards what audiences really value. So do you think this focus on social impact from both Miss Denmark and Miss Philippines points to a shift in what it means to be a successful Miss Universe contestant?
Yeah.
It really makes you think, all these different storylines kind of coming together, the backlash, Miss Denmark's win, Miss Philippines and her social impact award. It definitely paints a complicated picture of where Miss Universe is at right now.
Yeah, it really does. It feels like the pageant, it's kind of at a crossroads.
In what way?
Well, can it adapt to the changing expectations of the viewers and embrace this growing importance of social advocacy while also holding on to those elements? That made it so popular in the first place.
Right. It's like, can it do both?
Exactly.
Is that even possible? I mean, some fans seem to think that the pageant has already strayed too far from its roots.
Yeah, this year's competition, it brings up so many questions.
Like what?
Well, like, can Miss Universe evolve to have a broader definition of beauty and success, one that values substance and social impact, alongside the traditional qualities, or will trying to please everyone end up alienating the fan base? That made it such a global phenomenon.
Those are great questions. It'll be fascinating to see how the Miss Universe organization responds to all of this. What do you think? Will they make some big changes? Or are they going to double down on the direction they've been going?
I don't know. I mean, only time will tell.
Yeah.
But I think they need to listen to the feedback that they're getting from fans. There's clearly a desire out there for a more authentic, less commercialized experience.
Yes, I see that.
An experience that celebrates the diversity and the intelligence of the contestants, while still showcasing that glamour and excitement that people associate with Miss Universe.
It's a tough balance to strike. I'm definitely going to be watching closely to see what happens. This deep dive has given me a lot to think about. Maybe it's inspired you too. Maybe you'll check out Miss Denmark's work on sustainability, or maybe you'll look into the history of the pageant to see how it's evolved over the years.
There's definitely a lot to unpack when it comes to Miss Universe. Whether you're a hardcore fan or just a casual observer, you can't deny the impact that this competition continues to have as a cultural touchstone and as a platform for women's voices to be heard on a global stage.
I completely agree. And I think that brings us to the end of our Miss Universe deep dive. It's been so great talking all of this through with you.
Yeah, this was fun. Thanks for having me.
And to our listener, thank you so much for joining us. We hope this deep dive gave you some food for thought and sparked your curiosity to learn even more. Till next time.